This is the Wizard, WZRD Chicago, 88.3 FM. We have with us at Wizard now, Clotilde Rullaud. Did I pronounce your last name correctly?
Yeah,
Clotilde?
it's good. Hello.
Clotilde is a very well-known international jazz voice artist and improvisational artist. She's wonderful. I watched her perform before. Clotilde, welcome to Wizard.
Thank you. Hello, I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you. Well, I saw that you started singing at 5 and playing the flute at 5. So when did you start taking lessons?
Well, it was at 5. Actually, my mom and dad were not musicians, but they were really loving music, and they were radio listeners, like actually a lot. And we have this great national radio in France that playing loads of eclectic music and improvised one, avant-garde, classic, and all the stuff you can imagine.
It's kind of like our WZRD freeform.
Exactly. It's kind of the same, and so they were listening a lot to radio. So I think I got interested in music very early through that way. Also, my mom, she said that when she was cleaning the house, she used to play Mozart very loud when I was a baby, and because it was helping to keep me quiet while she was cleaning the whole house. So maybe, and Mozart is very famous for his concertos for flute. So maybe that's how I got this really big interest in flute. And then we have in France this state-provided conservatoire of music, so it's quite easy to have an academic teaching of music in France, which is very cool and convenient.
Was it kind of like our public schools? It's grade school, but instead of having our being in elementary school, students your age would go into the conservatory to learn music?
Actually, it's not exactly that. We have this kind of system in France too, but what I did is more like you go to school, normal school, and on the side you also go to the Conservatory of Music.
Were you a prodigy? Were there other students? Were all the other students your age, or were you the youngest student there?
I think there were quite a bunch of students that were quite young. Yeah. It's, I think something. Yeah, it happens.
So you were enjoying music even at that age, both voice and flute already?
Yeah. I really asked my parents to play the flute, and I'm so glad that they could afford me to play that instrument. I wanted to play the double bass, actually, to be honest, at some point, but I was too small, and it was not so easy to get instruments for children, and it was very expensive.
Double bass is a drum? What is it?
No, the double bass, the double bass, the big instrument, the bass. The bass.
Yes.
Double bass. And so it was quite expensive, so they couldn't afford it. And so I chose the flute instead, and I love it. I really wanted to play this instrument. It's funny because they're kind of the opposite in the range of music and in the orchestra. So.
Did you learn the double bass afterwards then?
No, that's still a dream. I should, actually. There's so many things to do and learn.
Yes.
I don't know if an entire life would be enough.
Right, I agree. Then what comes first for you and why? Is it music, storytelling, expression, experimentation? I saw you do all four at the performance.
Yeah, that's true. That's a very good question, actually. When you sent it to me, I was like, that's very interesting. I never really thought about it before. And I think it's, I think my way of approaching a song, like if it's a cover that I do, or when I listen to music, it's more like I listen to it like in kind of how do you say, global approach, like I don't really listen to the words exactly, it's more like the sound of everything, and it's creating emotion, and through this emotion it's I like creating pictures in my head, and then I will consider the lyrics more precisely to maybe to see if they match my
Mood.
and the imagination I created, and then I can maybe adapt what I was supposed to say or think, mixing everything. And improvisation is based on the images that I build up, kind of.
When did this process begin for you? When did you start utilizing such a process for your creativity?
I don't really know, but I think that quite young, because I had chance like during the summer holiday. I was staying with my cousins and my sisters, and we were organizing little shows, like, you know, with music and dance and painting, and we were creating everything.
And where did you perform these shows?
It was just in front of the family, you know. It was like little things, like we were 7 or something like that, year old or 8. But but we had no limit in creativity. It was really like, okay, what are we gonna do? And so I think this kind of global approach was, I've always been like into my mind somehow. Also because I was doing dance and theater and all this stuff.
What about the other children in your family that were doing the shows with you? Are they as creative as you are?
They're not artists. I mean, like, they're not living from the art, but they are very creative. Yeah, definitely.
What is the difference between French and American attitude toward music, and does that difference affect your art? Because you do come to the U.S. to perform.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that I can really notice a difference between the American and the French musicians, but maybe it's because I always had the chance to work with the musicians I chose, and so I always work with musicians who are very open-minded, have a huge culture in music, like a very different style of music, listening to world music, to jazz, to classical music, to everything. And they also have in common to be very genuine and in their approach to the music, and very sincere, and I don't know, they also are very talented, gifted, and dedicated to their instruments and their creativity. So in the end, they are very different, but very similar at the same time.
You mentioned a lot of different genres, and I'm assuming that a lot of your collaborators are involved in the different genres. Are some of them, like you, mixing the genres together to improvise?
Yes, I do think so. I think that most of them do, or yeah, I think that's what they have in common. They mix loads of influences. Yeah.
I noticed that you do some improvisations with your voice. Could you show our audience a little bit of how you do that, like different improvisations with your voice?
Okay. Okay. What kind of things you want to hear? Okay. I don't know. Okay. Let me think.
Closer to the mic, it's trying to convey? It changed. The emotions changed, right? So,
Yeah, true. I don't know, I went through different colors and just, it was I don't know.
colors?
Yeah, to me it's like different. It's like being a cook or a painter.
Mm-hmm.
It's like putting spices together and colors together and drawing something and emotions.
Mm-hmm. Did some of the improvisations represent the colors, like in the beginning versus what it was at the end?
Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe in the end it's more like sounds, like create, I don't know, textures or things like that. It's really like painting, and you're using like or aquarelle or you're using like texture and materials inside, you know.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Is that from one of your songs? Could our audience access maybe the track and then listen to more? You do it a lot all over the place, but what about if they wanted to listen to that, or was it just off the cuff, or was it actually from one of your songs?
No, it was just an improvisation right
Oh,
now.
my goodness.
Yeah, out of the blue.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Oh, and I could see that you're using the deep breathing, so
Yeah.
it doesn't really hurt your voice that much.
No, it's very important. Yeah, it's very important.
Do you seek new ways to improvise, or the improvisations just come to you?
Well, no, I'm looking for new ways of using the voice and creating new sounds. Yeah, I'm searching a lot. Like, but it's more to, as I said, it's more like a cook traveling to get new spices, or like a painter testing new colors or things like that. Yeah.
Wow, yeah, that was amazing. I never heard, well, except when I watched you perform. So that's so wonderful. So these improvisations don't injure your voice, or are there some that might, but you work around that? Because I have been trained in voice, and I know how easy it is to damage your vocal cords.
Yeah, you're right. It can be very easy. Actually, what I'm doing is that I'm when I find a sound that I like, or I find it could be interesting to add it to my different colors, you know. I try to find a way to have it to reach the same kind of color without hurting myself. So this is the moment where I experiment and search. For example, there's the sound coming from the Inuit people, you know. They have this throat singing, and if you do it the way they do, I can feel that maybe on the long run it could be hurting, or I mean it could maybe prevent me from doing other sound. But
were some of the sounds that some of the improvisations that you were doing, was that from the Inuit inspired?
no, but I'm gonna show you actually. So and then you can try and using, if I use the sternum resonators instead of the throat, then I can reach almost the same sound, or it's very similar. I mean, it's expressing the same kind of feeling and colors to me. The one that I was finding very interesting for what I wanted to express, without hurting me. So it goes like this, like this is not hurting because I use my sternum.
Oh, what about, do you go into your head voice with any of the improvisations?
Yeah. What would I do? I don't know. Maybe like if I go like
Beautiful. Okay, so what did that, was that some kind of texture, some kind of color that inspired you?
yeah, that's more like sound, and then it goes me into some colors. I don't know, like, or places in the world. I see. You see? But I like the idea that anybody can imagine what they want, you know? So I'm very attached to the fact that I'm connected to something very strong inside me. But I like also the fact that maybe people won't hear or visualize the thing that I visualize. To me, it's not a problem, actually.
So
It's the most important thing is that they feel something.
right. When you say that there's something very strong inside you, are you talking about that how you connect with your soul to convey convey through your improvisations? Or are you talking about your strong voice?
I know it's what I want to convey. Yeah, and what's going into my mind or my feelings and my body to, I don't know, express things.
What is your diet, which helps you keep on touring and maintaining your peak?
Okay, so that's a good question. I'm not very strict, but I would say that I apply most of the things that singers apply, like not too much milk and cheese and things like that, which is hard for a French person, and especially for cheese. And prefer goat and goat cheese to cow milk, and no bubbles before sleeping, like
You mean like
champagne or
I see.
whatever, or
Yes,
sparkling
sparkling
water, or lemon or mint, because all these things are bad for the digestion. So this is then can damage the vocal cord. But loads of keeping yourself very hydrated. Yeah, that's very important. Very especially when you're traveling with the flights and changing of atmosphere and temperature. So this is very, very important. And rest, sleeping. I think
How many hours do you need to sleep in order to maintain?
I'm okay with 7 hours, but if I feel like if I'm touring and I feel like I'm very tired before a show, I will do a nap, like for sure, because it's the best for the vocal folds. Like, I mean, it's a muscle. It's our inside our body. So
Right.
yeah, it's more like athletes, I think.
It is. It is. Who is your best mentor, and what was the most important of what that person taught you?
Well, I've been thinking about this question. It's hard for me to answer, but I think that probably my flute teacher, is probably the one who taught me so beautiful things, because it was in a quite high level conservatory of music, and with classical music, loads of teachers are only concerned with technique and getting faster and faster, and you know, and he was not. He really told me always, like, thinking about the breathing and taking in the silence moment as a musical moment, and considering a phrase in a breathing, and the phrase is really like something you want to say from A to Z. The most important thing is not that every single note is perfect. The most important thing is how they play together to tell something. So I think it's really a chance that he taught me that when I was super young.
When you were 5 years old?
No, it was later. I was very 12 or 13, something like that. But I'm not sure that's a lot of things that teachers do or say to students, to think about what they say and convey, and to put it before achieving technique skills.
Did he say that, teach that to you because he saw that talent in you, or was he speaking in front of for the whole class?
No, it was one-to-one lessons.
One-to-one.
Yeah,
Oh,
so I don't
see.
know what he was saying to the other people.
Yes. But it affected you throughout your life then?
Yeah, definitely. I'm thinking about it very often. I think it changed a lot. My perceptions of music, and the fact is that it's something that I found in loads of culture, actually. And I mean, I'm not saying that it's not important to practice, to the opposite, but it's important to keep in mind that it's not just achieving some, I don't know, technical goals. It's music we're talking about. So it's a language. It's telling stories. It's or they may be conveyed by words or sounds. It's not the problem. The thing is that we're telling stories, so it's important to keep it in mind, I think. And in all the great cultures all around the world where music is so important and learned really seriously, I mean, like, they never forget that, I think, the spiritual aspect of the music.
And that's closely tied with the story.
Yeah, exactly.
Tightly tied. Do you have any mentees, and what do you feel is most important in your career that you need to convey to them if you have a mentee?
Well, I have students, so I don't know if there's a difference between mentees and students. What would you say?
I would say that your students would learn the technique, but however, if you wanted to have your student be whole, they would need that advice that would be tailored to every individual student.
Oh, okay. So I think that when I teach, I'm not only concerned by the techniques because of probably of this teacher in my past and also the way my mom raised me. So I think I talk to them a lot about how well I like to say, like, it's funny, we could imagine that we are human being, like the standing up human being could be considered as antennas, kind of. So, because like nature, while developing, we stood up at some point, and we can stand on our legs, standing up because of the inner ear, okay, which is located at the same place of the ear. So it's very funny because we stood up, and that way we can hear things, and we can stand up, and at the same time we did this, actually our larynx shifted, and the vocal folds, which were only sphincters before, started to be able to be vocal folds, and we were able to make the sounds that we're doing now, and starting to talk the way we do, which is unique in all the world, you know, and all spices, among all spices. So somehow it's like we are receiving sounds, and now we can produce them, you know, like we're receiving vibrations, because sounds is vibration, like we know, it's frequencies, and we can produce vibration in return. So I very often say to my students, like, it's important to me to keep it in mind that you're just an antenna, and you have to be a good craftsman and create a beautiful instrument to let you vibrate and receive the vibrations and give them back, and be humble at some point for that.
Like a channel for the universe.
Yeah, exactly. Tana.
When did you start studying evolution, and how the vocal folds changed? Was this before you did I'm pretty sure it's after you started improvising, and then seeing how all that sound came about.
Oh gosh, I can't answer this question. I don't know. I think it's all those things that come all together, you know, like you learn things from one side and from the other side, and it's just like a big pot of things that you discover.
Right. We have a lot of music students here at Northeastern Illinois University. Is there any additional advice that you could give them? You've already given them a lot, but anything additional?
I don't know, maybe just keeping on experimenting stuff and not compromising oneself for commercial purpose. I think that would be terrible, and even if it means struggling a bit, I think it's preferable. And and not being open-minded, and not put oneself into boxes of genre and specific type of music, because I think that music is really a universal language, and putting things into boxes is something that belongs to the discman sellers. I don't know how you say it, like, you know, the disc shops. And they have to put them into a box and say, oh, this is the jazz, and this is the thing, and this is. But we as musicians, artists, we have to keep people aware that in the end, it's almost the same thing. It's notes being put together in certain ways. So,
Have you ever seen yourself as a kind of actress for your songs?
not really. I don't think so. I don't know. I don't. I'm not trying to act. That's for sure.
Okay, Clotilde Rullaud, thank you so much for joining us here at Wizard today. Oh, is there any information about upcoming tours or performances that you could share with the audience?
Oh yeah, it's gonna be in New York, and we're gonna play tomorrow with Chris McCarthy, who's an amazing pianist and keyboardist, and yeah, it's a new project inspired by Diane Di Prima poems. She was a poet from the Beat generation, and I'm very excited by this project. And we're gonna, it's the first steps of it. We just did like some kind of residency to create the repertoire. It's all composed by Chris, and we're gonna do a second run in April with more concerts, and hopefully in Chicago. I hope so.
Yes. Thank you so much, Clotilde Rullaud,
Thank you.
improvisational jazz artist.
Thank you so
extraordinary.
much. Thank you.
This is The Wizard, WZRD Chicago 88.3 FM.